Buongiorno everyone, welcome back to the Magpie Channel TV. Today, it's a controversial one from The Athletic and our good friend again, Luke Edwards. After I mentioned in the last video, Luke Edwards, Jamie Vardy, James Maddison signing for Newcastle. He doesn't think that'll happen in January. I do, or next summer. And like I said, Edwards before in the past said the takeover wasn't going to happen. Said he spent 60 million last summer. And now he's talking about this article from The Athletic, which was brought to my attention. Someone tagged me in Luke Edwards' tweet. Now, Luke, to be fair to him, hasn't said too much about this. This is what he said on the screen here. But the article itself is a mad one from The Athletic. So we're going to get into that and drop your comments below. As always, oh, look at that lovely TMC merch. Remember this one back in the day? Look at that logo on the back. Lovely stuff. Tell you what, if you'd like to see merchandise, come back. Drop that in the comments as well. But we're going to dive straight into this one as Newcastle United could be disposed of from PIF so they could buy Manchester United. Those are the words that they've been using in this article in The Athletic, saying disposed of. They're just going to forget whatever's happened with Newcastle, forget the last year of buying them, of buying us, get rid of Newcastle now, kick them to the wayside, kick them off the curb, don't care about them anymore. We want to swap Newcastle United for Manchester United. So they want to waste all the money they've already put into Newcastle, the 309 million they spent buying us, the hundreds of millions they've spent on the squad, on the training ground, on plans for the new training ground, on staff members, Ashraf, Eels, all the rest of them, sponsorship deals that they're currently working on, trips to Saudi Arabia, which they're in at the minute, which I'll get into soon, brand deals, infrastructure, new sponsorships, current sponsorships, staff at St James's Park, everything. Manor Staveley, Gudusi, Ruben Brothers, PIF have done in the last year. Nah, dispose of it, get rid of it, don't want it anymore. You know what I mean? It's like they're going on as if we bought a puppy for Christmas. The puppy's a little shit and they want to get rid of it. Not quite how it works for this one, I don't think. Don't think they're going to get rid of the few £100 million, billion pound overall investment they've made just so they can buy Man United. We don't even need Man United anymore. Look at the Premier League table. Who's doing better? Do you know what I mean? What United do you want now? Man United are in turmoil. They're in disarray. They've got Ten Hag there, who's trying to build something. They've spent millions, hundreds of millions every single transfer window. They still can't do well. They still haven't won a Premier League since Sir Alex Ferguson left over 10 years ago. That's a building job in itself. It's not like you're buying, even if that had bought Chelsea, for example. Todd Bowley obviously did the American. If that had bought Chelsea, that's pretty much ready-made. You need a couple, but recent Champions League winners doing well in the Premier League. Man United have been a mess. They're not even in the Champions League now, so there's loads of work to do there, whereas Newcastle, the work's already getting done. The work's already on its way. We're already on our way to that spot. We're currently third in the Premier League. Let's not forget, just because the World Cup's on, we are third in the Premier League. Now, it is going to be a long, hard season. Obviously, going to be a challenge to maintain that position, but why would you realistically swap Newcastle United for Manchester United? Obviously, the only reason is the brand name, because they're a global name. They're still a huge club. Obviously, they've still got a massive following, but Newcastle are on the way to building that. Give us a few years and we can do that. They're not just going to dispose of, as The Athletic have said, of Newcastle just because Man United is now available. Yes, PIF and people from Saudi Arabia did want to buy Manchester United. I think it was back in 2019, but they were way put off the asking price from the Glazers. Now that the Glazers have put the club up for sale, their asking price is still in the billions. And obviously, that's not Saudi Arabia, you know, the PIF and everything else. It's an unlimited pot of money, really, isn't it? The richest people in the world are worth hundreds of billions. It's not going to bother them, that. But they've got Newcastle United now, and I think this article is complete nonsense, utter bollocks. There's no way they're going to dispose of Newcastle United and just put Newcastle up for sale, sell it to the next person, then buy Manchester United and do that all over again and build them up. No way. I can't. This is a non-starter for me. I just couldn't see it happening. I couldn't see them getting rid of Newcastle. We're currently in Saudi Arabia, flown by Saudi Airlines. We're picking up new sponsorships by the minute just for bloody this tour. There's new sponsorships announced every day. There's building blocks in place now. There's personnel in place. Like I said, there's a new board of directors. Everything's changed. They're not just going to up and leave. You know what I mean? They're falling passionately for this project, for this club, for this city, for this fan base. They want it to do well. They want it to grow. They're not just going to scrap it so they can go buy Man United. Not for me. Now, let's be honest. I can't. The Saudis have done an interview with Sky Sports recently saying they would look at buying Manchester United. They look at buying Liverpool. I'm not sure in relation to that if that's PIF or that's another Saudi-backed consortium but they said in the Athletic that it would cause unrest in Saudi Arabia if another prominent Saudi Arabian figure bought a Manchester United to rival Newcastle United. That said, that would be frowned upon. That wouldn't look good over there. So So that helps us a lot. But it isn't going to be long before the majority of Premier League teams are state-owned. You know what I mean? Like Man City, owned by Qatar, you know, owned by Etihad and stuff like that. It's going to turn that way. Newcastle now owned by PIF, by Saudi Arabia. PSG as well, Qatar, you know what I mean? So Manchester City's Abu Dhabi, whatever, you know what I mean? Middle Eastern. Anyways, point is that teams are going to be state-owned. It's going to happen more and more frequently because that's where the money's at. That's the only way to compete. It is inevitable. But I can never see this happening. These owners dropping out of Newcastle to buy Man United. Nah, not going to happen for me. Load of nonsense, load of bollocks. I think PIF are here for the long term. Obviously, we hope so. But I think they are. There's no way after a year they're just going to get rid of us, move on, sell and buy Man United. Load of crap, can't see it happening. Like I said, I can see Man United getting taken over by big money, whether that's from Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Dubai, wherever. Wall's End. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. It's going to happen from somewhere. But I can't see PIF getting rid of Newcastle. Like I said, we're in Saudi Arabia right now. We're doing the groundwork. We're trying to attract the attention of the Saudi Arabian public to watch Newcastle. Newcastle are playing Al Hilal in a friendly on Thursday over in Saudi Arabia. They're there for a week on a training camp, promoting Newcastle, doing sponsorship work, doing commercial deals, growing the public knowledge of Newcastle over there, gaining interest, gaining fans, and it's going to happen non-stop. That plenty more to happen. So Newcastle currently in Saudi Arabia, building relationships, out there for training camp, out there playing competitive games, getting ready for the season restarting after the World Cup. So for me, it's only going to grow. Newcastle are growing. PIF's involvement's growing in Newcastle. The infrastructure, the money they've put in all around, the money they'll continue to put in January, next summer transfer window, in the stadium, along the lines potentially a new stadium, loads going on. So there's no way we're going to just up and leave and just, you know, sell like they're trying to sell a house. Not going to happen for me. Load of bollocks. Let us know what you think of that article in the comments below. Subscribe to the Magpie Channel TV, and I'll see you on the next one.